Hey guys, Nitsuhone here. We're about to play the Modern Daily event with our budget Black-Red Modern Zombies deck. If you don't know what a Modern Daily is, it's a huge tournament. We still have about 8 minutes to go before the tournament starts, and we've already got 67 people in it. And you only get prizes if you win 3 or 4 matches rather, and there are 4 rounds. So I'm hoping to finish in the prizes today. It would be nice to, but I'm just, this is also just a good test to see how the deck is coming along. We're going to be playing almost exclusively Tier 1 decks, which we've played already, but we don't always play them. It'll be good to see how it does here. At any rate, I'll be, providing commentary on my plays and talking about the decks we're facing and what my plays are and why I should be making them. Let me know if you would have done something different in the comments. We've got a few minutes before it starts, so I will resume recording once it does, and thanks for watching. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds before the tournament starts. We've got almost 100 people in it now, so should be interesting. There's no telling what you get paired against with a pool of people this big. But what we're really hoping for is to not get paired against Amulet, Bloom, or Tron. I think those are our 2 weakest matchups. I think if we get Burn, if we get Delver, if we get Abzan aggro, any of the mid-range aggro decks, I think we've got a really good chance, and that's what we're going to hope for. So our first match is about to be paired, and we'll see what happens. Let's hope that we draw well and get some good pairings. That's usually what's necessary to do well in a tournament, in addition to having a good deck. And here we go. I'm going to keep this hand. It's not incredible, but we do have 2 removal spells and a 2-drop. We have all our colors too, so I'll keep it. See what our opponent has in store for us. Right, a little interesting to see one of those lands in Modern. Our opponent may also be working on a budget, I suppose, although those lands aren't exactly cheap because they're used so much in Standard. Okay, well, we got 3 of our Sulphurous Springs, which is a little frustrating. We're going to be taking some pain this game. We'll play out Timuret next turn. Okay, we may be playing Delver. Seems pretty likely that this is Delver. I like that matchup. We have some nice removal in our hand to support it. Okay, our opponent just exiled Lotus Bloom, so now there's really no telling what's going on. Lotus Bloom, where is it? Yeah, they can add 3 mana of any one color to their mana pool in 3 turns, basically. And he may also have mana up for Mental Misstep, so we'll see what happens. Alright, drawing a 2-drop on turn 2 is sometimes pretty frustrating, as it is this time. And we're actually going to go ahead and play out the Diagraph Ghoul instead of Timuret. That way, if our opponent plays an attacker, we don't have if we wanted to have a blocker, we have one. We may not want one or need one, but it's good to have. Opponent may be playing a combo deck of some kind. That's sometimes what the case is when you've got Lotus Bloom and lots of cantrips, but it could still be Delver, just a version of Delver that runs the Bloom. They are certainly filling up their graveyard the way Delver likes to. Anathemancer is a card I'm thinking about siding in against a deck with this many lands. Yeah, he's definitely digging for something. I mean, it could also just be that he's just, trying to get as much card advantage and card selection as possible. Yeah, it's interesting. Our opponent also has this Dead Ship Reef. So it really could be some kind of combo deck that needs a huge amount of mana. Our opponent's definitely got a strange mana base. But that's cool. Alright, we're going to swing in. I'm torn here about whether or not I want to play the stockpile. I can't tell if our opponent's deck's actually controlling or not. And because I'm uncertain, I'm going to make a move that's just good, against everyone, which is play out another 2-drop. Play out another 2-power creature, that is. So next turn they get that bloom in play. Yeah, I think Anathemancer, especially if we don't see any creatures from our opponent, we may be siding out both of our Dreadbores and maybe one Terminate for our 3 Anathemancers, because it would do some huge damage. I mean, right now, if I just played it, it would do 4, and then we'd swing for 4. It would be a pretty big turn. Wow, well that's interesting. We're definitely playing an interesting deck. We can only kill him now with Infect. We gotta knock him below 0 and then kill him with Infect, which is challenging. So that makes us have to do about 10 additional damage. So he's definitely trying to buy time here. We don't have any way to destroy an enchantment. We're black-red. It's hard to do in these colors. Stockpile is pretty appealing in this matchup, I think. And we're going to play the one in our hand. I'm also going to start thinking about whether or not I want to side it in general. We can discard Timuret at the end of his turn and swing for 6. And then get him. We can start infecting him pretty soon. So the Lotus Bloom's coming into play, which may mean something scary is coming into play. Could also mean nothing, but we'll see. Definitely a cool deck our opponent has. He's also rocking a rogue deck, so much respect to him. Yeah, and that card is, I've never really seen it used, but in a deck that's just trying to buy itself time, it basically makes you have 10 extra life. And against black-red, like my deck, I have absolutely no way of dealing with that. So I just sort of have to deal with that and just try to crank out as much damage as possible, which we're working on. We do have this bolt, too, which can help us get to where we need to be. I'm really trying to figure out what our opponent's win condition could be. There's another Lotus Bloom that just got exiled. Anticipate. Yeah, this deck is just absolutely filled with cantrips, which is interesting. And Phyrexian and Life is pretty interesting. Lotus Bloom you see played, but very interesting deck we're against. I'm curious to see what it does and how it does. Alright, at the end of his turn, we're going to discard our extra Timuret. And now we've got 6 power on the board. Now we've got even more, assuming we can resolve this. I'm going to play out a land and then try to cast our Death Baron here. I'm actually going to tap that differently. Tap it like that. And it resolves, so we can crank in for 9 this turn. And we can win the game next turn, assuming our opponent can't win the game or stop us. Even with the 10 extra damage we have to do, having to kill him with Infect, basically, we'll win the game next turn. So let's see what he does right here. He's not blocking anything. But you see his Phyrexian on Life is coming in really handy for him right now. We could beat him otherwise with either our Bolt or a Timuret sacrifice. We could just beat him right away. But we can't because of the Phyrexian on Life. I'll probably Bolt him at the end of his turn. And then just swing. We'll see what our opponent does here. Nice thing is, even if he has like a removal spell right now, we can throw whatever he's trying to remove at him, unless it's Timuret. But even if it is Timuret, we can put our other Timuret in our hand, and that's pretty nice. So let's see if he's got the juice he needs to do whatever crazy thing he's trying to do over there. All right, he's going to 1. He may have a board sweeper, which would be pretty brutal. Would definitely slow us down. Okay, mystical teachings. If that's all he's got, I mean, I can't think of an instant he could grab that he'll still be able to cast. Yeah, it's Ad Nauseam. So we're playing an Ad Nauseam deck. I'm trying to reveal it for you. Here it is. Okay, he is going to be able to cast Ad Nauseam, which may be enough to kill us. In response to that, though, we're going to bolt him to make his life a little more difficult. He can only pay 8 life. Oh, actually, no, he can pay infinite life because of the fact that it's only damage that will affect him. So we lose this game. We know what we want to sideboard now, though. But Slaughter Games is what we're going to sideboard. Yeah, I mean, that Phyrexian on life ended up saving him. What I'll probably name if I Slaughter Games is the Phyrexian on life, because it's a problem for us anyway. You know, it makes the game go longer. So I'm going to make him play everything out, do what he needs to do to kill us. Maybe he makes a mistake or something. Yeah, Ad Nauseam lets him pay any amount of... Draw infinite cards and pay any amount of life he wants to. So, you know, when he has Phyrexian on life in play, he just can't lose because it's only damage that makes him get infect. And then he, you know, exiles his Simian Spirit Guides and just kills me with a number of different spells are possible. We'll see which one he chooses here. It's interesting, he did leave 1 card in his deck. I'm not exactly sure why he did that. Yeah, Lightning Storm is a pretty typical one to use with this. He gets to discard lands from his hand until he can kill me with the Lightning Storm. Right now he's at 7, 9, and I mean we know he has enough lands to kill me. 11, 13, 15, 17. He just has to discard 1 more, which he certainly has to finish us, and we're toast. So he's just going to keep doing it, which is fine. So we're going to side in Slaughter Games, side out all our removal, make our deck even more aggressive. Because we don't need removal against this deck. He's not going to play any creatures against us. So we'll just take this Lightning Storm to the face and move to Game 2, which hopefully goes a little bit better than Game 1 did. We'll just make him use up his time. I'd forgotten that this deck existed. I haven't seen it in a while, but that is the deck that uses Phyrexian on life. Combo is hard for aggro to beat, so this is a bad matchup just like Bloom would be. But I think this is an easier deck. It's not nearly as powerful as Amulet Bloom, so I don't feel I'm not quite as concerned about it. So we're definitely siding in Slaughter Games. Anathemancers, which will help us on the damage front. Crusaders. Rakdos Charm's worth considering. If only because it can hit his Bloom before he wants to be hit. Not his bloom. His it is Lotus Bloom. Yeah, the Lotus, whatever it is. I think it's Lotus Bloom. We can hit it with our Rakdos Charm, which is pretty big. I mean, if we can hit it when we want to, but the question is, like, clearly Slaughter Games will completely just break his game. I mean, if he already has his Phyrexian on Life in play, we name Ad Nauseam. If the Phyrexian on Life isn't in play, I'll name Ad Nauseam. So that's our plan here. I don't think we side in Rakdos Charm. I think I'm going to side out the stockpile. Even though it worked out okay in that game, we need to be fast against a combo deck. So I think I'm also going to cut one Executioner. It might be worth cutting more Executioners, because we need to be winning basically on turn 4 or 5. Or breaking his combo with our Slaughter Games, which just can't be stopped. It can't be countered, even if he's running counter magic. It'll just ruin his day, basically. I think I'm going to side in one Rakdos Charm, just as another way of disrupting his combo. That gives us 4 ways to disrupt his combo, and we'll run with that. We're sitting at 30 creatures, which is way more than we already had before anyway, so this is what we're going with, and hopefully it'll help us out. So we get to go first, which in that last game, if we'd gone first, we would have won, so going first is nice. And this hand is pretty questionable, but I think I've got to keep it and hope I draw lands. I can disrupt, if I hit one more land, I can disrupt his combo. It's also pretty fast. We've got 2 1-drops, and a 2-drop, and a 3-drop, and a bolt. So we've got what we need. We do really need to draw a land, so it's a little risky to keep. But I think it's what we do here. We've got a good chance of drawing at least one other land, and if we hit a second land, we're in really great shape. A third land, we'll be in great shape. Makes more. He runs these temples to help him filter into his combo pieces more. It does slow him down though, which is good for us. Last game we didn't have a drop till turn 2, so we're gonna. We drew our Diagraph Ghoul a little late last game. If he'd been out there earlier, could have made a big difference. Okay, we got Slaughter Games now, which is nice, but we really need to draw the lands for it. But if we have him, we're gonna have him on a pretty quick clock already. Just with the 2 guys, we're gonna be able to put into play, and hopefully we can do more than that in the coming turns. We've got this bolt and we've got the 4 damage here. I left the bolts in, even though he doesn't seem to really have any creatures, as a way of helping us to burn him out, when he's low. I'd really love to draw our second land here. If we get Rakdos Charm up and we can blow up his bloom before he wants it to be blown up, we'll be pretty happy. He just exiled his bloom too, by the way. So in 3 turns it'll be coming into play, and we'll have hit him for 4, 8, 12 by then, plus the bolt, and that's if we don't get to play Timuret. And he's going to be paying life to his Confluence, surely. So, come on, land. All right. Unfortunately, it comes into play tapped, so it's not immediately useful, but it will be useful eventually. So we'll put the Summit into play and we'll pass our turn. I'm checking something real quick. I just wanted to make sure Ad Nauseam's a sorcery, so that if the bloom came into play... oh no, it's an instant. That's unfortunate. That's pretty crazy that they made that an instant. Very crazy even. So that's not great for us, but the Rakdos Charm can still disrupt him a bit. Okay, he got Phyrexian on life. That means with Slaughter Games, if we can get it into play, we'll be naming what's it called? Ad Nauseam. If we get a 3rd mana here, playing out the Anathemancer is going to be awesome, and we did. Okay, so we're gonna question here is, unfortunately, the Phyrexian Life is going to slow us down, which might lead to us losing again. If I hold the Anathemancer, more non-basics are going to come into play, certainly. And I can play Timuret now, who actually hits for more. So I think that's what I'm going to do instead. Timuret also sets up some reach that's really important. I'm sure he's got Ad Nauseam in his hand already. So what we really want to happen is to draw a land next turn and to be able to play our slaughter games. Like, that would just be a great thing for us. If we can slaughter games, I mean, this game, he has no way of winning otherwise, so. That Bloom comes into play next turn, so he'll have the mana setup that he needs to basically do whatever he wants. Okay. We don't care about not being able to counter his Ad Nauseam, because we can anyway. Alright, great. We got the freaking land we needed. That sets us up really great here to just hit his Ad Nauseam. We'll slaughter games. I absolutely hate this list that Magic Online makes you go through. They don't limit the list only to Modern or anything like that. They make you go through an entire freaking list of every Magic card ever printed. We're in a Modern tournament, right? So it would probably make sense if... where's Ad Nauseam? Maybe because there's a space, it's up higher? Yeah. Alright, so we'll just hit Ad Nauseam right now. He had 2 in his hand, so that's beautiful for us. He doesn't really have any other way to win in his deck. Patrician Scorn. Yeah. We're in pretty good shape. Hitting that. So, exile these 2. Exile both Ad Nauseams. And we know he's got a Holy Day in his hand, which is pretty annoying. He can still Angel's Grace, but now without Ad Nauseam, it doesn't really matter. He can do this, and it'll buy him more time. He's basically going to try to stall us out, I guess. I'm trying to see what else he can do to beat us. Okay, he's scooped. I didn't think he could do anything else to beat us. I was looking through his deck just to make sure. So we got that one. We just really need to hit slaughter games again or have a fast hand. And that was great. So hopefully we can do this again. He's going first again, unfortunately, which is bad news for us. Why is it saying hidden cards? I don't have any hidden cards. I don't think we change anything. I think we run this back out there. I'm now kind of considering taking back out the Rakdos Charm, actually. Because it's not going to do much now that I realize Ad Nauseam is a sorcerer, an instant. But I don't really have anything else in here that I think is better. I mean, it can still disrupt him, say he's stuck on a certain number of lands. Like in our first game, he didn't seem to have Ad Nauseam early enough, and if we could have Rakdos Charmed his Bloom, it would have set him back. So next time I think I'm going to name Ad Nauseam 2 now that I saw Angel's Grace, because now we know that he has 2 ways in his deck of going off with Ad Nauseam. So we'll just have to name Ad Nauseam again. I mean, even if the game is made longer by... he'll just scoop again if we name Ad Nauseam. So there's no reason not to. But yeah, him going first makes things harder on us. Certainly. I wish we'd won the die roll in game 1. It would have been our game if we had. But we didn't. So we've got to go into game 3 going last. But that's okay. And we'll leave the charm in. I mean, it does something, like I said. This is an awful hand, of course. Of course, we got an awful hand here in game 3. Our opponent mulliganed 2, though. This one's better. I like it. And we'll keep it. We don't have a 2-drop, but we've got 2 really powerful 3-drops. We don't have our slaughter games, which would be nice. Our opponent has already exiled a Lotus Bloom, which is bad. Drawing into a Slaughter Games would be nice for us. Maybe I should have aggressively mulliganed until I hit it. But, you know, there's no guarantees that'll happen. Even, you know, you can just keep mulliganing and mulliganing and mulliganing, and it still won't necessarily happen. Okay, a Pentad Prism's out now, too. I wish I'd sided in more Rakdos Charms. I hadn't seen that in other games. Of course, I looked at his library, but I didn't think much about what I saw in it. We're going to just bolt him at the end of his turn. Our life total doesn't matter. His does. So we're going to play the Blood Crypt untapped and just hit him with the bolt at the end of his turn. He's already got the mana to cast Ad Nauseam, which is pretty scary. It's not something I like to see. Especially since he mulliganed, like I wouldn't expect that. Although the fact that he's erring on the side of caution is good news for us. It means that he's a little concerned about getting off his combo super fast. So we'll just bolt him. All right. We'll swing with our Ghoul. Knock him down to 12. Play out our Messenger. Puts him at 10. Next turn we can swing for 7. His Bloom's about to come in play, though, is the bad news. So if he has Phyrexian, if the 2 cards in his hand are Phyrexian Undeath or Angel's Grace and Ad Nauseam, we're just going to lose. So let's hope that's not the 2 cards he has in his hand. He hasn't gotten any cantrips yet, so the chances are low. They're not 0, but they're low. Actually, he has the mana to do it all, do everything he wants. All right, there's Angel's Grace. He's probably got the Ad Nauseam too. There's no other reason he would do that. It's unfortunate for us. So we lose this first game in the tournament. We'll just scoop instead of making him go through everything this time. Although, I guess we can see if he'll actually make some sort of mistake. It's too bad, like I said, if we'd gone first in game 1, we would have won round 1. Game 2, we hit our Slaughter Games. This game, we couldn't hit it. An argument could be made, I think, to just mulligan until I hit it, but it's it's a 4-mana spell. I'm not always going to get 4 lands. I did in this game, of course, but we didn't even get to turn 4 because our opponent went first and had a strong hand, especially for mulliganing to 5. So it's a hard matchup. Combo's a hard matchup for us. The Slaughter Games is the only thing we can try to do about it, and we didn't get it. And like I said, we wouldn't have been able to cast it anyway. So we are toast, but we can watch our opponent go off on this combo again. He'll Lightning Storm us for 1,000,000 damage. Yeah, see, Angel's Grace works the same way that Phyrexian on Life does. So they just cast that and pay all their life to Ad Nauseam. It is, like I said, I think it's a much weaker deck than Amulet Bloom. Like, against Amulet Bloom, I can play my Slaughter Games, and even if I name either their Amulet or the Hive Mind, they can still have other ways to win. This deck, if you name Ad Nauseam, they're just toast. I mean, he actually got really lucky. He got a great hand that he got, he had so few cards in his hand, and he had exactly what he needed to finish us off. He would have had one more turn to try to finish us too, but our opponent had a pretty lucky hand for five-card hand. So we are dead here, watching all the Lightning Storm charge counters get put onto it. Yeah, we'll just scoop now. I mean, I'm not going to make him do everything, so... We lost round 1. It happens. I'm pretty, I thought the deck performed well. It was fast. got out there and did things quickly and effectively. The slaughter games being the sideboard, paid off. Win that die roll in game 1 was the big difference between us going between winning that round and losing that round, and so was our opponent getting an incredible hand. So we got some time between now and the next round. So I'll be back when it's time for the second round.